I proposed to my girlfriend and she said, yes, let me divorce my husband first. The ring I just proposed with hit the grass without a sound. I stayed on one knee, staring up at her while my brain tried to catch up to what she'd just said. She was smiling, still smiling, like she'd just agreed to grab dinner or move in together, not casually mentioned a husband I didn't know existed. What? She laughed, soft and nervous, and reached down to touch my shoulder. Babe, relax, it's not a big deal. I stood up too fast, nearly tripping over my own feet. The box was still open in my hand, empty now, the ring somewhere in the dirt behind me. You have a husband. Technically, yeah. She said it like I was overreacting, like I'd just found out she forgot to return a library book. But it's been over for years. We just haven't made it official yet. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. The park felt like it was tilting. A jogger passed us, headphones in, oblivious, and I wanted to grab him and ask if he'd heard what I just heard, if any of this was real. She stepped closer, her voice dropping into that soft tone she used when she wanted me to calm down. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. When? The word came out sharp, louder than I meant. When were you going to tell me? Before or after I put a ring on your finger? Don't be dramatic. She crossed her arms, and for the first time since I'd known her, I saw something cold flicker across her face. You're acting like I cheated on you. You're married. Separated. You live with him. Her jaw tightened. We share an apartment, that's it. We don't even sleep in the same room anymore. I took a step back, trying to breathe, trying to think. 2 years. We'd been together for 2 years. I'd met her friends, spent holidays with her family, talked about moving to the coast someday and getting a dog. She'd never mentioned a husband. Not once. Not even a slip. Not even a vague reference to an ex who wasn't quite an ex yet. Does he know about me? She hesitated. Just for a second, but it was enough. It's complicated. I laughed. Actually laughed because if I didn't, I was going to lose it completely. Complicated. Right. Look, I didn't plan for this to happen, she said, her voice cracking just a little. I didn't plan to fall for you, but I did. And I was waiting until I figured out what I wanted before I made it messy. What you wanted. I repeated it slowly, letting the words settle. You were waiting to figure out who you wanted more. She didn't answer. I bent down and found the ring in the grass, brushed the dirt off, and dropped it back into the box. My hands were shaking. Everything was shaking. I snapped it shut and shoved it into my pocket. I need to go. Wait. She reached for my arm, but I pulled away before she could touch me. Can we just talk about this? Talk about what? About how you've been lying to me for 2 years? About how I just proposed to someone else's wife? Her face flushed, but she didn't deny it. She just stood there, arms still crossed, looking at me like I was the one being unreasonable. I turned and walked toward the parking lot, my legs moving on autopilot. Behind me, she called my name once, then again, but I didn't stop. I got in my car, locked the doors, and sat there staring at the steering wheel while the sun finished setting and the park lights flickered on. The ring box pressed into my thigh through my pocket, a sharp reminder that 10 minutes ago, I thought I knew exactly who I was going to spend the rest of my life with. My phone was in the cup holder, screen lighting up every few seconds. Messages. 7 of them now, all from her. I didn't need to read them to know what they'd say. Some version of, let me explain, or you're overreacting, or this isn't what it looks like, as if there was any angle that could make this make sense. I turned the car off and went inside. The apartment felt different. Same couch, same dishes in the sink, same framed photo of us on the bookshelf from last summer when we drove up the coast and got lost trying to find that lighthouse. I walked past it without looking. Everything in here was a lie now. Every memory had an asterisk. My phone buzzed again. I picked it up this time just to stop the noise. Please just let me explain. You're not being fair. Not being fair. I read it twice, then a third time, waiting for it to morph into something that made sense. She was married. I proposed to a married woman, and somehow I was the one being unfair. Another message came through before I could put the phone down. I love you, that's real. Everything else is just logistics. Logistics. I threw the phone onto the couch and walked into the kitchen, poured a glass of water I didn't drink, stood there staring at the counter like it might offer some kind of answer. My hands were still shaking. I kept replaying the moment she said it, the way she smiled, the way she touched my shoulder like I was a child who didn't understand how the world worked. The phone buzzed again and again. I grabbed it, ready to turn it off completely, but stopped when I saw the name. Brian, one of her friends. Well, our friends now, I guess. We'd gotten close over the last year, hung out a few times without her, talked about starting a podcast neither of us would ever actually make. Good guy. Funny. The kind of person who showed up when you needed him. Hey man, just heard. You okay? I typed back. Did she tell you she's married? The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. She said it's complicated, that you didn't let her explain. I almost laughed. Almost. She's married. That's not complicated. That's just married. The dots again. Longer this time. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. That's messed up. I waited for more, but that was it. No, I had no idea, or I can't believe she'd do that. Just acknowledgement. Neutral. Safe. The kind of response you give when you don't want to pick a side yet. I put the phone down and sat on the floor with my back against the couch, staring at the ceiling. The apartment was too quiet. I could hear the fridge humming, the upstairs neighbor walking around, a car alarm going off somewhere down the block. Normal sounds. The world just kept moving like nothing had happened. My phone lit up again, not her this time. Jordan, her best friend, the one who'd helped me pick out the ring 3 weeks ago, who swore it was perfect, who'd hugged me in the parking lot and said she couldn't wait to be at the wedding. I'm so sorry, I didn't know, I swear I didn't know. I believed her. Jordan wasn't the type to lie, and even if she was, there was no reason to cover for this. But the fact that she didn't know made it worse somehow. It meant the secret wasn't just kept from me. It was surgical, precise, a whole separate life that never bled over. I typed back. How long have you known her? 6 years. Did you know about the husband? The dots took forever. I knew she was married once. Past tense. She told me it ended badly and she didn't like talking about it. I never pushed. I read it again. Once. Past tense. She's still married. She lives with him. No dots this time. Just silence. Then finally. What? I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Another message came through, this time from Casey, another one of her friends who I'd gotten drinks with a few times. He kept it short. That's rough, dude. Let me know if you need anything. I didn't answer him either. The messages kept coming, scattered over the next hour. Some from people who didn't know what to say. Some from people who who clearly already had her version and were trying to figure out if I was the bad guy. A few from mutual friends who just sent question marks waiting for me to fill in the blanks. I didn't respond to any of them. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but something made me open it anyway. Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we met at that barbecue last summer. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. She told me you guys broke up months ago. I had no idea you were still together. I sat up straighter, reading it again. Who is this? Erin, I work with her. I didn't remember an Erin. Didn't remember a barbecue either, but that didn't mean anything. We'd gone to a lot of things last summer. Why are you telling me this? Because she's been saying you two were done since July, and I saw your post earlier, so I figured you should know. I hadn't posted anything. I opened social media for the first time all night and saw it immediately. She'd posted a photo of us from last month, smiling, arms around each other. Caption read, "Sometimes love is messy, but it's worth fighting for." The comments were already piling up. Friends offering support, strangers weighing in, a few people asking what happened, and her replying with vague reassurances that everything would be okay. I locked my phone and set it face down on the floor. The apartment was still too quiet. I thought about calling someone, my brother maybe, or my roommate from college who always knew what to say, but I didn't want to hear advice or comfort or anyone trying to make sense of it. I just wanted to rewind 3 hours and stay home, skip the park, keep the ring in the drawer. My phone buzzed one more time. Her again? I know you're upset, but we can fix this. Just give me a chance. I turned the phone off and left it on the floor. I woke up on the couch with my neck stiff and my phone still off. Sunlight was coming through the blinds at an angle that meant it was late morning, maybe noon. I'd slept through my alarm, assuming I'd even set one. The apartment looked the same as it had the night before. Same mess, same silence, same feeling that none of it belonged to me anymore. I turned my phone back on and waited for the flood. 17 new messages, 4 missed calls, 2 voicemails. Most of them were from her. A few from people I barely knew, checking in or offering unsolicited opinions. One from my mom asking if I was coming to dinner on Sunday. I didn't open any of them. The first voicemail started playing automatically. Her voice, calm and measured, like she was reading from a script she'd rehearsed. "I know you're hurt. I get that. But you're not letting me explain, and that's not fair to either of us. This isn't black and white. There's context you don't have. Just call me back, please." I deleted it halfway through. The second one was longer. "I love you. I need you to know that. Everything I told you about us, about our future, that was real. The marriage is just paperwork. It's been over for years. We don't even sleep in the same room. I was waiting for the right time to file, and then you came along, and I didn't want to scare you off by dumping all of that on you at once. I thought I was protecting you, protecting us. Just let me explain in person, please." I played it again, listening for cracks in her voice, some sign that she knew how insane it sounded, but she didn't waver. Every word landed with the same practiced sincerity, like she'd convinced herself it was true. When I got out, my phone was ringing again, her name on the screen. I answered this time. "Thank you," she said immediately, like I'd just done her a favor. "I was starting to think you weren't going to pick up. What do you want? I want to talk. Face to face, not like this." "There's nothing to talk about." "Yes, there is." Her voice stayed steady, patient, like she was negotiating with someone unreasonable. "You're making this bigger than it needs to be. I understand you're upset, but you're not seeing the full picture. You're married. Legally, yes, but that's all it is, a piece of paper. We haven't been together in any real sense for 3 years. He knows that. I know that. The only reason we didn't file is because of insurance and the house. It's logistics. That's it. You live with him. In separate rooms, we're roommates. That's all we are." "Does he know that?" She paused just for a second, and I heard it. The first crack. "Of course he does." "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Because I knew you'd react like this. I knew you'd make it into something it's not. You lied to me for 2 years. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything all at once. There's a difference." I almost hung up. Almost. But something stopped me. Not hope, not belief, just the need to hear how far she'd take it. "What's his name?" I asked. Another pause. "Why does that matter?" "Because if you're telling the truth, it shouldn't be a secret." "Owen," she said finally. "His name is Owen." I opened my laptop and typed it in. Owen and her first name. Took less than 10 seconds to find him. Social media profile, public posts, photos going back years. I clicked through them slowly, my stomach tightening with every image. There was one from 2 months ago. The two of them at a restaurant, smiling, her hand on his arm. The caption read, "8 years with this one. Here's to forever." I scrolled further. Another photo from last summer. A beach. Her in a sundress I recognized because I'd been with her when she bought it. She'd told me she was going to visit her sister that weekend. "You still there?" she asked. "Yeah. So can we meet? Just for an hour. Let me explain everything." I'm looking at his profile right now. Silence. "He posted a photo of you 2 months ago. Anniversary post. 8 years. He does that," she said quietly. "It's complicated." "Stop saying that. It's true. He's not over it. He still thinks we're going to work things out, but we're not. I've told him that. He just doesn't want to accept it." "So you let him think you're still together?" "I'm trying not to hurt him more than I already have. He's fragile. If I just cut him off completely, I don't know what he'd do." I closed the laptop and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Every answer she gave sounded reasonable in the moment, like she was just someone stuck in a bad situation trying to do the right thing. But when I put them all together, they didn't fit. They overlapped and contradicted and left gaps big enough to drive through. "When were you going to tell me?" I asked. I swear I was. I just needed more time." "More time for what?" "To figure out how to leave without destroying him." "You had 2 years. I wanted to believe her. That was the worst part. Even now, even after everything, there was a part of me that wanted to believe she'd just made a mistake, that she'd been scared and stupid and human. But the photos didn't lie. The posts didn't lie. The carefully constructed life she'd built with him, right alongside the one she'd built with me, that didn't lie either. "I need to go," I said. "Wait, just wait, please. Can we meet tomorrow? Just coffee. 1 hour. If you still don't want to talk after that, I'll leave you alone." "I don't think that's a good idea. Please, I'm begging you, just 1 hour." door. I hung up and sat there for a long time, trying to figure out why I'd just done that. My phone buzzed, a message from Jordan. I talked to her. She swears she was going to tell you, that she was just waiting for the right time. I don't know what to believe anymore. I typed back. Did she tell you she's still living with him? That he posted an anniversary photo 2 months ago? The dots appeared, then stopped, then appeared again. She said he's delusional, that he refuses to accept it's over. Do you believe that? No response. I opened Owen's profile again and scrolled through more photos. There were dozens of them. Vacations, holidays, quiet nights at home. In every single one, she looked happy. Not trapped, not waiting for an escape, just happy. I found one from 3 weeks ago, a Sunday morning. The two of them on a hiking trail, her leaning into him, smiling at the camera. The same weekend she'd told me she had to work a double shift. I screenshotted it and sent it to Jordan without a caption. She replied almost immediately. I'm so sorry, I didn't know, I swear I didn't know. I believed her. I believed all of them. Her friends, my friends, everyone who said they had no idea. Because that's how good she was. She didn't just lie. She built separate worlds and made sure they never touched. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. Is this the guy? A man's voice asked. Calm, curious, not angry. Who is this? Owen. I sat up straighter, my pulse spiking. I saw your name in her messages, he continued. Figured I'd call. Thought maybe we should talk. I didn't hang up. Couldn't. My hand just stayed there, phone pressed to my ear, waiting for him to say something that made sense. You still there? Owen asked. Yeah. His voice was steady, not hostile, not broken. Just tired in a way I recognized immediately because I'd heard it in my own voice for days now. How'd you get my number? I asked. Her phone. She left it on the counter this morning. Saw your name come up a few times. Figured I'd scroll back and see what I was dealing with. Found enough to get the picture. She know you're calling me? No, she's at work. Or at least that's what she told me. I almost laughed. Almost. When did you find out? I asked. 2 days ago. Saw a notification on her laptop. Message from someone named Jordan asking if she'd talked to him yet. I asked who him was. She said a coworker. I didn't believe her, so I waited until she went to bed and went through everything. He paused, and I heard him take a breath like he was steadying himself. Found your messages going back almost 2 years. Photos, plans, things she said to you that she'd said to me. Word for word sometimes. She told me you two were separated, I said. That the marriage was over. That you were just roommates. Yeah. She tell you we sleep in separate rooms? She did. We don't. We share a bed. Same one we've had for 6 years. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, like the walls had moved in while I wasn't looking. She told me she was waiting for the right time to file, I continued. That she didn't want to hurt you. That's funny, because she told me she wanted to start trying for kids next year. I closed my eyes and pressed my palm against my forehead. When? I asked. About a month ago. We were talking about timelines. She said she wanted to wait until after her sister's wedding, then start trying in the spring. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Did she ever mention me at all? Not once. You? No. I didn't even know you existed until 3 days ago. He laughed, short and bitter. Well, that makes 2 of us. I stood up and started pacing, phone still pressed to my ear, trying to process what I was hearing. It wasn't just that she'd lied. It was how completely she'd separated us. 2 lives running parallel, never intersecting, both of us thinking we were the only one. How long have you been together? I asked. Married 8 years, together for 10. She told me she'd been with someone before, but that it ended badly, that he cheated on her. I never cheated on her. I didn't think you did. There was a long silence, not awkward, just heavy. You proposed to her? Owen asked finally. Yeah, 3 days ago. She say yes? She did. Then told me she had to divorce you first. That's when I found out. He exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding his breath. I proposed to her 7 years ago. Same park where we had our first date. She cried. Told me it was the happiest moment of her life. She told me the same thing. Of course she did. I stopped pacing and leaned against the wall, staring at nothing. I don't get it, I said. Why keep both of us? Why not just leave? Because she didn't want to choose. That's what I keep coming back to. She didn't want to lose either of us, so she just kept going, kept lying, kept building. You think she loved either of us? I don't know. Maybe, in her own way. Or maybe she just loved the idea of being loved. I thought about the voicemails, the texts, the way she'd sounded so sincere, so hurt, like I was the one being unreasonable. She called me yesterday, I said. Told me the marriage was just paperwork. That you two were basically roommates. That she was protecting me by not telling me everything at once. She say the same thing about me? Pretty much. She's good at that. Making you feel like you're the one who doesn't understand. Like if you just listened a little harder, you'd see she's the victim. You believe her? For about 5 seconds, then I looked you up. Find anything interesting? Anniversary post from 2 months ago. You called her the love of your life. I meant it. Still do, honestly. Or I did until 2 days ago. His voice cracked just slightly on the last part, and I felt something shift in my chest. Not pity, just recognition. He wasn't angry. He was just broken in the exact same way I was. You confront her yet? I asked. Not directly. I've been trying to figure out what to say. How to even start that conversation. Hey, honey. I know you've been living a double life for 2 years. Doesn't really roll off the tongue. You planning to? Yeah, tonight probably. I just wanted to talk to you first. Make sure I wasn't losing my mind. You're not. Good to know. I heard something in the background on his end. A door closing. Footsteps. I gotta go, he said quickly. She just got home. I'll call you later if that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. He hung up before I could say anything else. I stood there for a long time, phone still in my hand, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do with any of this. Owen wasn't what I expected. I thought he'd be angry, accusatory, maybe even violent, but he wasn't. He was just tired, just trying to make sense of the same mess I was. My phone buzzed. A text from her. Can we please talk? I know you're angry, but I need you to understand that I never meant to hurt you. I was just scared. Please. I didn't respond. Another text came through a minute later, then another, each one more desperate than the last, like she could feel me slipping away and was scrambling to pull me back. I love you. You have to know that. I was going to tell you, I just needed more time. Please don't shut me out. We can fix this. I turned my phone off and set it on the table. Jordan called an hour later on my laptop. I almost didn't answer, but I knew she wouldn't stop until I did. I talked to her again, Jordan said as soon as I picked up. She's falling apart. Says you won't answer her calls. That you're not giving her a chance to explain. There's nothing to explain. She says there is. She says the marriage has been over for years. That she was just waiting for the right time to leave. Her husband doesn't think it's over. She says he's delusional, that he won't accept it. Jordan, I talked to him. Silence. You what? He called me. We talked. He had no idea about me. None. She's been telling him the same things she's been telling me. That they're solid. That they're planning a future. She told him she wanted to start trying for kids. When? A month ago. Jordan didn't say anything for a long time. I don't know what to say, she said finally. I really don't. I thought I knew her. I thought we all did. So did I. What are you going to do? Nothing. There's nothing to do. It's over. She's going to keep trying to reach you. Let her. It's not your fault. Doesn't feel that way. We talked for a few more minutes, but neither of us had anything useful to say. When we hung up, I felt more alone than I had in days. My phone stayed off for the rest of the night. I didn't want to see her messages. Didn't want to hear her voice. Didn't want to give her another chance to make me doubt what I already knew. But I kept thinking about Owen. About the way he'd sounded on the phone. Calm. Rational. Like he'd already accepted what I was still trying to process. I wondered if he'd confronted her yet. If she'd cried. If she'd tried to explain it all away with the same practiced sincerity she'd used on me. I wondered if he believed her. Owen called me the next morning. Not through her phone this time. He'd gotten my actual number from the messages and saved it. She knows I know, he said. Confronted her last night. She denied everything at first, said you were lying, that you were obsessed with her and made the whole thing up. What did you say? Showed her the messages, the photos, dates and times that matched up perfectly with things she'd told me she was doing alone. She tried to explain it away for about 10 minutes before she realized I wasn't buying it. Then what? Then she cried. Said she never meant for it to happen. That she loved both of us and didn't know how to choose. That she was going to tell me eventually, but the timing was never right. I sat down on the couch and rubbed my eyes. She say anything about me?
She said you knew about me the whole time, that you were fine with it, that you two had an understanding.
That's not true. I know. I told her I'd already talked to you. That's when she switched tactics. Started saying the marriage was a mistake. That she'd been unhappy for years. That she stayed because she didn't want to hurt me. You believe any of it? Not a word. I heard something shift on his end, like he was moving to a different room. I moved into the guest room last night, he continued. Told her I needed space to think. She kept trying to come in. Kept knocking on the door asking if we could talk. I didn't answer. Where is she now? Work. Or at least that's what she said. I don't really care anymore. You filing? Yeah. Called a lawyer this morning, meeting with him tomorrow. That was fast. I've been thinking about it for a while. Just needed a reason to actually do it. There was a pause and I heard him take a breath. Listen, he said. I know this is weird, but I was wondering if we could meet up. Go through some of this together. I have questions and I think you probably do too. I thought about it for a second. The idea should have felt strange, but it didn't. If anything, it made sense. We were the only two people who actually understood what had happened.
Yeah, I said. I'm free this afternoon.
There's a coffee shop on Maple near the library. You know it? I do. 3 o'clock work? I'll be there. He hung up, and I sat there for a minute staring at my phone. Part of me wondered if this was a mistake, if meeting him would just make everything worse, but the other part of me needed to know, needed to see the person who'd been living the same lie I had. I showed up 10 minutes early. The coffee shop was small, tucked between a bookstore and a dry cleaner, with a few tables outside and a chalkboard menu propped against the window. I ordered something I didn't really want and sat down near the back. Owen walked in at exactly 3. I recognized him immediately from the photo I'd found online. Tall, clean cut, dressed like someone who worked in an office and took it seriously. He saw me, nodded, and walked over. Thanks for coming, he said, sitting down across from me. Yeah, no problem. For a moment, neither of us said anything. Just sat there, two strangers bound together by the same person for completely different reasons. This is surreal, he said finally. Tell me about it. He pulled out his phone and set it on the table. I've been going through everything. Messages, photos, dates. I made a timeline. Want to see it? Yeah. He opened a note and turned the screen toward me. It was meticulous. Dates on the left, events on the right, color-coded by which one of us she'd been with. Red for him, blue for me. Some days had both colors. February 14th, he said, pointing. She told me she had to work late. Sent me a photo of her desk with a coffee cup and said she missed me. You two were at dinner. I remembered that night. She'd posted a photo of us at the restaurant. Nothing obvious, just the table and the candles. But I'd tagged the location. March 9th, he continued. I was out of town for a conference. She said she was spending the weekend with her sister. You posted a photo of her at the beach. She told me her sister canceled. She told me her sister needed her. He scrolled further. April 23rd. She told me she was going to a work event. You two were at a concert. She told me you were working nights. I work 9 to 5. I leaned back and exhaled. Every line on that timeline was another crack in the story she'd built. Another piece of proof that none of it had been real. How far back does this go? I asked. As far as I could find, about a year and a half. That's when your name first shows up in her messages. She tell you how we met? No, you? Mutual friend, party. She said she'd just gotten out of a bad relationship and wasn't looking for anything serious. She told me the same thing when we started dating. Said her ex cheated on her and she needed time to trust someone again. She say that about me? Probably. She has a script. She just changes the names. He put his phone back in his pocket and looked at me. I keep trying to figure out when it started. When she decided this was something she could pull off. But I don't think there was a moment. I think she just saw an opportunity and took it. You think she planned it? I think she's good at adapting. At seeing what people want and giving it to them just enough to keep them around. She ever slip up? Say something that didn't match? Once, about 6 months ago, she mentioned a restaurant I'd never been to. Said we should go back there sometime. I asked when we'd gone, and she looked confused for a second. Then said she must have been thinking of somewhere else. I didn't push it. She did the same thing to me. Told me about a movie we'd supposedly watched together. I had no memory of it. She laughed it off, said I must have been half asleep. She's good at that, making you feel like you're the one who's wrong. Did she ever talk about leaving? About the future? All the time. She'd bring it up out of nowhere. Talk about where we'd live, what kind of house we'd get, how many kids we'd have. It felt real. She told me the same things. Of course she she did. He looked down at his coffee, and I could see the exhaustion in his face. Not just from the last few days, from years of believing something that had never been true. I found receipts, he said after a moment. Dinners I didn't go to, hotels I didn't stay at, flowers I didn't buy. I always thought she was just treating herself, being independent. I liked that about her. She ever travel without you? A few times, work trips, she said, or visiting family. She'd tell you where. Different places, Portland once, San Diego another time, Denver last fall. I went with her to Denver. He looked up at me and I saw something shift in his expression. Not anger, just recognition. She told me it was a work conference, he said. Sent me photos of the hotel lobby. Said she missed me. We stayed in that hotel. I know. He pulled out his phone again and showed me a photo. It was the same lobby I remembered. Same marble floor, same chandelier. She'd taken the photo at an angle that didn't show me standing a few feet away. She's good, I said. She's better than good. She's surgical. We sat there for a while, not saying much, just going through the details like we were investigators trying to solve a case that had already been closed. Every new piece fit perfectly. Every lie she'd told one of us had a corresponding truth she'd told the other.
You think she loved either of us, I asked?
I don't know. Maybe in her own way. Or maybe she just loved the control. You ever suspect? Not really. I mean, there were moments, times when she seemed distant or distracted, but I chalked it up to stress, work, life. I never thought she was living a completely separate life. Neither did I. He finished his coffee and set the cup down. I'm meeting with the lawyer tomorrow. Filing papers by the end of the week. I'm done. What about her? She going to fight it? Probably, but I don't care. I have enough proof to bury her if she tries. You think she'll reach out to me again? Definitely. She's not going to let go easy. She'll try to convince you I'm lying, that I'm manipulating you, that she's the victim. I won't believe her. Good. He stood up and held out his hand. I shook it, and for the first time in days, I felt something other than anger or confusion. I felt clarity. Thanks for this, I said. Yeah, same. He walked out, and I stayed there for a few more minutes, staring at the empty chair across from me. The woman I thought I knew didn't exist. She never had, and somehow, knowing that made it easier to let go. I texted Owen 2 days later. We should talk to her, together, he replied within a minute. I was thinking the same thing. When? Tomorrow night, my place. I'll tell her we need to talk about logistics. She won't suspect anything if she thinks it's just me. You sure about this? No, but I want to see her face when she realizes we both know everything. What time? 7, I'll text you the address. The next day dragged. I kept checking my phone, half expecting him to cancel, or for her to somehow figure it out and disappear. But nothing came. Just the address at 6:30, and a message that said, she's on her way. I parked down the block and waited. Watched her car pull into the driveway at 7:10. She got out, checked her reflection in the window, smoothed her hair, took a breath like she was preparing for a performance. Then she walked up to the door and knocked. Owen opened it, said something I couldn't hear, and let her in. I waited 5 minutes. Long enough for her to settle. Long enough for her to think this was just another conversation she could control. Then I walked up and rang the bell. I heard her voice through the door, confused. Are you expecting someone? Owen didn't answer. Just opened the door and stepped aside. She saw me and froze. For a second, nobody moved. She stood in the middle of the living room, looking between the two of us like she was trying to solve a puzzle that didn't have a solution. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. What is this? She said finally. Sit down, Owen said. I don't understand. Sit down. She didn't move. Just stood there, her purse still on her shoulder, her keys in her hand. I closed the door behind me and locked it, not to trap her, just to make it clear this wasn't something she could walk away from. We've been talking, Owen said, for a few days now, comparing notes. Her face went pale. Notes about what? About you. She looked at me, and I saw the calculation happening. The same look she'd had when I asked her about the marriage. Like she was running through every possible response, trying to find the one that would let her stay in control. This is insane, she said. You two don't even know each other. We do now, I said. She turned to Owen. He's lying to you. I told you that. He's been obsessed with me for months. He made all of this up because I wouldn't leave you for him. I showed him the messages, Owen said. The photos, the timeline. He didn't make any of it up. He manipulated you. He's good at that. Stop. He convinced you I was cheating when I wasn't. He's trying to destroy us. I said stop. She flinched at the sharpness in his voice. He'd never raised it before. Not once in all the years they'd been together. Sit down, he said again, quieter this time. She sat. Owen pulled a folder from the table and opened it. Inside were printouts, messages, photos, receipts. Everything we'd gone through together, organized and labeled. He set the first page in front of her. February 14th. You told me you were working late. Sent me a photo of your desk. You were at dinner with him. She didn't look at it, just stared at the edge of the table. March 9th, I was out of town. You said you were with your sister. You were at the beach with him. Still nothing. April 23rd. You told me you had a work event. You were at a concert. He set down another page, then another. Each one a date, a lie, a moment she'd split herself in half and handed each of us a different version. I could keep going, he said, but you already know what's in here. You lived it. She looked up at him, and for the first time I saw something other than confidence in her eyes. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't shame. It was fear. I can explain, she said. Go ahead. She looked at me, then back at him. It's not what you think. What is it then? It's complicated. Try me. She took a breath, and I could see her pulling herself together, reaching for the script she'd used 100 times before. I didn't plan this, she said. I didn't wake up one day and decide to hurt either of you. It just happened. What just happened? Owen asked. You could have told me. I was going to. I just needed time to figure out what I wanted. How much time? I don't know. Enough to be sure. You've had almost 2 years. She didn't respond to that. Just looked down at her hands. Were you ever going to choose? I asked. She turned to me and I saw the mask slip for just a second. Saw the person underneath. The one who'd been holding this together through sheer force of will. I don't know, she said. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Owen leaned back and crossed his arms. You told him the marriage was over. That we were separated. That you were just waiting for the paperwork. I didn't say that. He has the messages. I said the marriage marriage wasn't working. That's not the same thing. You told him you were getting divorced. I said I was thinking about it. Stop lying! Her voice cracked. I'm not lying. Yes, you are. You've been lying to both of us for 2 years. Every time you said you loved me. Every time you made plans for the future. Every time you kissed him goodnight and came home to me. It was all a lie. She shook her head. That's not fair. What's not fair? You're making it sound like I didn't care about either of you. Like this was some game I was playing. It wasn't. I loved you. I still do. Which one of us? She didn't answer. That's what I thought, Owen said. I stepped forward. When I proposed, you said yes. You smiled. You acted like it was the happiest moment of your life. And then you told me you needed to divorce your husband first. Like it was just a formality. Like he didn't matter. I didn't say he didn't matter. You didn't have to. She stood up, her hands shaking. You don't understand. Neither of you do. I was stuck. I didn't know how to get out of this without losing everything. So I kept going, kept pretending, kept hoping that eventually I'd figure it out. And I would have. If you hadn't found out, you would have kept this going forever, Owen said. No, I would have chosen. When I was ready. That's not good enough. She turned to him, and I saw tears starting to form. Not the kind that came from guilt. The kind that came from realizing she'd lost. You can't have both, I said. I know that now. You knew it the whole time. She looked at me and the tears spilled over. I'm sorry. That doesn't fix anything. I know. Owen stood up and walked to the window, stared out at the street for a long moment before turning back. I filed for divorce, he said. Papers should be ready by the end of the week. She went rigid. You what? I'm done. I'm not staying in a marriage with someone who's been lying to me for 2 years. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. You just did. It didn't help. She turned to me, desperate now. What about you? What about me? Are you leaving too? I already left. No, you're angry, you're hurt, but you don't mean that. We can fix this. We can start over. There's nothing to start over with. The person I thought you were doesn't exist. Yes, she does. She's right here. No, she's not. She reached for my arm and I stepped back. She froze, her hand still in the air, and I saw the moment she realized it was over. That no amount of talking or crying or explaining was going to change what had already happened. You're both making a mistake, she said. No, Owen said. You made the mistake. We're just done cleaning it up. She grabbed her purse and walked to the door, stopped with her hand on the knob and looked back at us. You're going to regret this, she said. I doubt it, Owen replied. She left. The door clicked shut and the house went quiet. Owen sat back down and let out a long breath. That went better than I expected. Better? She didn't throw anything. I almost laughed. Almost. But the weight of the last hour was still sitting in my chest, heavy and unmoving. You think she'll try to contact us again? I asked. Probably, but it won't matter. She doesn't have anything left to say. She never answered the question. Which one? How long she was planning to keep both of us. Owen looked at me, and I saw the same exhaustion I felt mirrored in his face. She answered it. She just didn't say it out loud. What do you mean? She was planning to keep us both forever, until one of us figured it out or gave up. That's why she never chose. She didn't have to. I thought about that for a minute. About all the times she'd talked about the future, made plans, acted like everything was moving forward, and realized he was right. She'd never intended to choose. She'd just intended to keep going, splitting herself into pieces and handing them out until there was nothing left.
You think she loved either of us? I asked.
I think she loved the idea of us, the version she built in her head. But the real us? No. I don't think she ever saw us as actual people, just parts of a life she wanted. He stood up and walked me to the door. Thanks for coming, he said. Yeah, thanks for setting it up. You going to be okay? Eventually? You? Same. I walked back to my car and sat there for a while watching the house. The lights were still on inside. Owen moving around, cleaning up the mess she'd left behind, literally and figuratively. My phone buzzed, a message from her. We need to talk, please. I deleted it without reading the rest. Another one came through a minute later. I know you're angry, but you don't understand what it's been like for me. How hard this has been. I blocked the number. A third message from a different number this time. I love you. I always have. Don't let him turn you against me. I blocked that one too. Then I started the car and drove home, leaving her behind in every possible way. A week later, Owen texted me the name of a cafe downtown. Coffee? He asked. Sure. I got there first and ordered something I didn't really want. He showed up 5 minutes later, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him since this whole thing started. We sat by the window and didn't say anything for a while. Divorce papers went through yesterday, he said finally. That was fast. She didn't contest it, signed everything without a word. She reach out to you again? Twice. I didn't respond. You? Same. Different numbers every time. I stopped checking. He laughed, quiet and tired. We sound insane, you know that? If I told this story to anyone else, they'd think I made it up. I've been thinking the same thing, like it's too ridiculous to be real. But it is. Yeah, it is. You doing okay? He asked. Better than I thought I'd be. You? I proposed to someone who didn't exist, I said. That's what keeps hitting me. Not that she lied, that I never actually knew her. Neither of us did. He finished his coffee and stood up. This is going to sound strange, but I'm glad we met. Not the way it happened, but still. Yeah, me too. We left the cafe and walked to our cars. He stopped before getting in and turned back. If you ever need to talk, he said, you know where to find me. Same. I drove home lighter than I'd felt in weeks, the weight of her finally gone. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.